Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers and a rant. So, all I wanted today, folks, all I wanted was to have one day, one, to celebrate one of my own going out there and shining like the badass that he is, which would be Dad. One day where I didn't have to sit there and deal with people hating people like me, bullying people like me, and basically, in general, making our lives hell. One day. What? Do I get to have that? Do I ever get to have that? Do any of us ever get to have that? Apparently, we do not. Let me show you what I'm talking about real quick. These are real lives experiences, folks, that we get to put up with every single day of our damn lives. Goes, my attending this morning went on an unscheduled tangent about ADHD and autism being trendy diagnoses that people from TikTok try to get. Why are we so pissed, you might ask? Are there some diagnoses that get overdiagnosed? I'm not going to sit there and lie and tell you that's not reality. On the other hand, what in God's name makes you think that we are fighting to get properly diagnosed because we think it's cool or it makes us special? We're not sitting there lining up to get a diagnosis, folks. Let's be real for a second. You think that people are lining up so they can sign themselves up for a lifetime of discrimination and hate? I can't overstate the level of hatred that is shot at us day after day after day. No matter how good at masking we are, if we are openly autistic, we are somehow the goddamn enemy. We are discriminated against. We are doxxed. Our families are doxxed. We're threatened every day. And that's just on the lighter side. But sure, people are totally just lining up for that type of life because of TikTok. Do you hear? Do these people hear themselves? Does anybody look at our lives and say, well, that looks glamorous? Living beneath the poverty line? If we're lucky, we live paycheck to paycheck. People refusing to hire us and coming up with I'll say it, bullshit excuses as to why. Not even being able to, after getting a college goddamn degree, being able to be hired in our own field. So we have to take menial jobs like call center work because nobody else will hire us. Does any of this look glamorous? Oh, but it's trendy. I'm sorry I did not put up a trigger warning before then, but that just gets on my last nerve because, folks, the truth is nobody signs up for this type of life. You think we find it wonderful the way we are hated every single day? Being harassed by Autism Mommy TM, everyone and their brother, and don't even get me started on the media or we will be here for the next year. Nobody signs up for this. Okay? We're not lining up because we think it's going to make us feel special. Sit down, Karen. You have no idea what our lives are like. You have not the first clue what it's like to be one of us. Okay? I can't with these people. I literally can't. I'm going to drink some calming tea and then I'm going to get to the disclaimers. But point blank, folks, nobody is signing up for this. Okay? We're not doing it because we think it makes us cool or to get special attention. Speaking as an autistic, most of us on a general basis would think the less attention, the better. God. I can't with people today. Literally can't. I wanted one day to celebrate one of my own. All I asked for. In the description box, folks, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification programs. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Well, folks, NeuroClastic has refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding, folks, in case the JRC actually goes and sees through with their threat. Also included in there is the Ozark's first article in regards to the Agape boarding school, now known as Stone for Help boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has, and pending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and folks, that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI. Allergies. Another, a doctor, who still lives on the premises with full access to the boys upon multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens and trying and failing to defund public libraries to actually care about and protect the kids here. And you've got a current governor that I don't think an intervention could even help. Starting to look real bleak for anybody different out here in Missouri, folks. Real bleak. And they have already begun to start in on the autistic community. And it will be only a matter of time before it trickles out to the rest of the disabled community. Send help. All right, please read that article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there is the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masemba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, folks, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please go ahead and use your headphones, all right? All right, this channel is marked not for children for a reason. We use profanity and we speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously, parental supervision is advised. Should go without saying. And square your shoulders, folks. Because trigger warning, we are about to once again descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, pseudoscience and lies, abuse and torture apologencia, all from a man with a massive ego and even larger God complex. So folks, be prepared for the condescending amount of stupid we are about to partake in today, okay? Now, like I said in my last video, we're going to go over that statement, the so-called testimonial that favors JRC, in which the doctor says that MDRI and the rest of us advocates took out of context and lied about. The doctor is once again lying about us because, in fact, they presented the statement in whole within full context, but did what we did so often on this channel and continue to do, to take those statements apart and point out the insanity. So let's get started, shall we? Okay, to whom it may concern, I would like to give everyone in the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center a great big thank you for everything they have done for me. If it weren't for some of the staff, I probably wouldn't have been able to get here at the Turnpike residence, but most of the staff have been excellent success in my life. I entered the Judge Rotenberg Center Wednesday, August 23rd, 2000. I came to this program on 17 different types of meds, and the nurses had a doctor to come and talk to me to see if they were doing anything or even if they were needed. Here we go, folks. Another trope that the Dr. Israel relies on is the pseudoscience anti-big pharma movement. Now, I'm not going to sit there and tell you that big pharma does not have a lot to answer for, because they do. A whole lot. But the demonization of medicine that people like Dr. Israel engage in is dangerous, folks. Again, I will not name him, but I have an uncle who's schizophrenic. The meds that Dr. Israel would yank him off of is what gave him the ability to have a normal goddamn life. Those meds made it possible for him to be able to live on his own, to be able to meet his wife, to be able to keep his home. Yeah. My uncle off of the meds can barely even function at the most base human level. They are a godsend, but Dr. Matthew Israel would yank someone like my uncle off of those meds, put them through that terrible shock therapy. It's not even shock therapy. He would torture my uncle into catatonia, and he would call that a success. Not him taking his meds out there living a successful life. Him being shocked until he became a shell of a human being. Yeah, we got problems. We got real problems when you want to sit there and argue with proven science, especially when I have seen the results in real time. Just saying. But he hammers this home because so many in this society, especially right now, are so anti-big pharma, anti-big corporations. Now, although that does have some basis in reality, the context that people take it to is dangerous. These people want to take away meds from individuals who need it the most. And they don't care about the damage that they do to that said individual. They care more about their opinions than they do about our realities. Just saying. But let's move on. Most of the meds were supposed to relax me, but they made me tired instead of relaxed. Okay, there's some truth to that. In particular, I was in middle school when I was put on Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin basically turned me into a goddamn zombie. I felt nothing at all. No emotions. I was a literal zombie. The only thing I could actually feel that was legitimate was overwhelming tiredness all the time. I would nod off and sleep in class. It also completely destroyed any sense of appetite that I had, and I went dramatically underweight. So I can vouch for this, yes. But this is why having a give and take relationship with your doctor is so damn important. Demonizing meds is easy. The real work is not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Give and take. You talking with your doctor, talking about the side effects, talk about how it's affecting you, instead of remaining sitting there in silence is extremely important. How the doctor's supposed to know whether the medicine is working or not unless you talk to them about it? This is why my meds were adjusted like they were. Because we had a give and take. I would give and take. My mom would give and take. Until we got to a medication that worked. You can't just say, all these pills didn't help me, so I'm just going to go throw my towel in and join the torture. I'm just going to allow them to torture me because the meds don't work. I was on 15, 17. You can be on 100 different meds. If you do not talk to your doctor, how do you expect to find the medication that's going to work the best for you? But we don't talk to people about this. This is one of the most important things to teach in self-advocacy, is to also how to do a give and take with your doctors. The doctors aren't the enemy. The pills are not the enemy. You know what I mean? How is a doctor supposed to know how these pills are affecting you unless you open your mouth? They're not psychic. And not every single doctor is a shill for Big Pharma. You want to know how I switched from Ritalin to Ginkgo? I talked to my doctor. Just saying, but let's move on. But right now, all I really want to do is things such as academics and extra chores. Okay, kid. That's a lie. I'm going to call it out for what it is. That's a lie. How do I know that? Have you met a teenager? Because no teenager, neurotypical or otherwise, is ever going to sit there and tell you that all they think about is academics and extra chores unless they're buttering up their parents for something. I know this because that was me. Right before I begged shamelessly for Mom to take me to the Megadeth concert. By the way, I still regret nothing, but there's a word for this. It's called brown nosing. Okay? Nobody really wants to do academics and extra chores. Can we put it bluntly when you're a teenager? But Tiffany, you said you were always reading. Yes, in subjects I was interested in. There's a difference between let's do math and studying and reading books on subjects you're actually interested in. Okay? This is a lie. That is a kid literally telling these folks what he thinks that they want to hear. And by the way, us autistics, we get real good at that. You want to know why? First off, we don't out and out lie because we're terrible liars. Bad. Just awful, awful liars. But we will play around with the truth. We'll say academics while not actually referring to those things that we are forced to endure in public schools. And I'm sorry, no teenager on the face of this planet is ever going to look at you with a big smile and go, yay, chores! Okay? Nobody likes chores. I am an adult pushing 40. I can tell you right now, I am right now, even in this day, not going to go, woohoo, yay, chores and cleaning. Okay, this is not reality. But let's move forward. When I first came here, I didn't want to do any of these things, but now that I am on no meds, I am finally able to do things for myself instead of staff or anyone else doing the things that I am supposed to do for myself. When I started off at the Judge Rotenberg Center, I was in restraint at least 15 times a day. There's a term for that. You know what it's called, kid? Brainwashing. Stockholm Syndrome. People in the medical model, but in particular, Matthew Israel, are real good at it. When they can convince you that you are at fault, you are wrong, you are damaged, you need to be fixed, then you can justify the abuse towards yourself as something that you deserve. And that is something that can take years and years of therapy to be able to finally wrap your brain around that what happened to you was not your fault. As a survivor, I still struggle with that to this day. But kid, let me tell you something. You did not deserve this. Okay? Let's move forward. Before I started treatment at the JRC, I had 1,400 aggressions and a lot of HDBs, health dangerous behaviors. Now, let me get to something about the medical model that really, really annoys the piss out of me. Do you know of any neurotypical teenager out being an ordinary neurotypical teenager and doing stupid crap, counting their aggressive behaviors? No. But they make us do it. And why is that? Because people who are disabled live with double standards. We're not allowed to be normal kids. We're not allowed to have normal teenage rebellion. If we go out there and act like our regular neurotypical peers, what would be seen as normal teenage rebellion will be put under a microscope, and then we'll be forced into ABA and crap like this. This is the whole more human than human thing. But let's move forward here. Now that I had something that will help me control my aggressions, I am able to either use my words and actions. I want you to listen to this. It helps him control himself, he says. Is it? Is it helping you control yourself? If that device is removed from you, did the things that were triggering those behaviors ever go away, kid? No, because they were never addressed properly in the first place. This is my prime example of when an individual who goes through horrific things will justify those things by blaming themselves. It's something that all victims go through. And I really hope someday this kid will realize that he did not deserve this. That there were other ways out there other than torturing him to help him deal with these issues in a proper and healthy manner. And he deserved a hell of a lot better from his parents, from his school, and from, the whole damn world. My actions used to speak louder than my words can. But since I have been on the treatment, there has been a serious decrease in all my behaviors. Again, I'm not going to sit you there and tell you that punishment doesn't work, because it does. Fear works. Punishment works. For a time. But what happens when the fear is removed? And all you're left with is the trauma and the triggering problem that was never properly addressed. Eventually, it comes to a head, folks. I speak from living experience here. I have been there. It will come to a head one day. There's going to come a moment in this kid's life when he can no longer blame himself for what these people did to him. That's going to be an awful day. And I hope and pray that that will be the beginning of healing instead of something more terrible. I have an appropriate manner, not a negative manner. Kid, a positive manner cannot be forced. Let me say that. A positive manner cannot be forced, nor can it be produced under threat. To say any differently is a lie. Fear does not cause a positive manner. Fear causes you to create a mask. And believe me, I speak with experience. When I was about 15 years old, and in my more heavily writing days, I wrote a poem. I was about around this kid's age. That title of that poem was, I Have a Mask for Every Occasion. You want to know why we create those masks? Fear. Yeah. But let me continue. I've had to deal with a lot of changes made in either the residence or the school. I've had at least 5 different case managers, and they have all helped me in the same way and in the same manner. This isn't help, kid. Forcing you to create a mask due to fear while still continuing to not address the triggering issues isn't help. I feel that all of the higher-up staff are also a great big success in my time at the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center. I've also had a great clinicians in my time so far here at the Judge Rotenberg Center. I have really appreciated everything that has been done for me here at the Judge Rotenberg Center. Thank you very much for all the help and the patience and all staff has had with me. This whole statement is fishy. Do any of you know of any teenager who writes like this? I was a writer in my teenage years, and I was good. I'm still good. In case anyone was wondering, I was published the first time when I was 14, and yes, I will brag about it with my whole chest. But this is not how we communicate as teenagers. This is adult wording, folks. This is more how a 40-year-old or above discourses than it does a teenager. Yes, even an autistic teenager. Yes, even an extremely hyper-literate, hello, how you doing? That was me. Do not sound like this. I'm sorry, but we don't. More fishy is sitting there saying that I look forward to extra chores and academics. That's a red flag, folks. That is a major red flag. Be honest with yourselves, parents. Do you think any teenager is going, yay, I look forward to chores? It's very telling, isn't it? This poor kid, if it is him who's writing this, has been convinced that he was the problem. That how he was born was fundamentally wrong, and the only way that he could be fixed was to be tortured into it. Forced to create masks to show people what they wanted to see. But what they don't tell you about masks, but I will, is if you wear a mask long enough, you can no longer tell the difference between your real inner self and the mask. And it takes years of therapy to uncover the person that you were before fear caused you to be someone else. We're going to close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.